Welcome to Revolution Against Evolution. I'm your host, Doug Sharp.
Rich Gear back here with you as well, and we have Steve Sharp with us again for really part two, I guess, Doug, and about the Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey Federation? What is it?
National Wild
Turkey Federation. I knew it was. There's too many names, you know. But anyway, Steve has been an integral part of that for many years. Now he's doing recruiting, and a lot of neat things happening with all that. But this is going to be looks like we're going to do some anecdotal stuff, some fun stories, it looks like, from Doug and Steve. I have to admit that I'm kind of ignorant here. I have not been out in the woods hunting ever, you know, and I don't know whether I have the temperament for it, but it'd be you make me almost want to go out there in the morning like that, because I'm not a morning person either, not at all.
Well, yeah, we can do stuff in the evening too. That would be much. And we could probably make it work.
But I do. It's very enticing, the idea of coming out in the springtime. You talked about our last show, and to see that everything waking up, and in the fall you see the different things happening with the fall colors. It's pretty neat stuff going on there. But anyway, Doug, I don't know, how do you want to start this? You want to start out, or?
Yeah, I'm going to first of all tell that I never had any interest in this at all for pretty much all my life until I decided I was going to retire. And of course, I worked for the Department of Natural Resources, and I was more in the parks and recreation area with the computer stuff. I was doing computer work for them, but and I got Steve started in computers a little bit too back years ago. So he's been able to do a lot of things with that. But I said to myself, well, I got to now that I'm retired, I got to figure out what Steve is so enthusiastic about, and so he had one of his turkey mentored hunts that he started up in the spring. I think that's part of the new thing he's doing with his job. He used to be the regional director. And he'd take people out hunting, and senators and governors and people like that. But I went on one of these hunts with him, and so we went out for hunting for the very first time. Now, I drew the longer straw when we went out. There was three of us, and so it was my first shot to get at the turkey. But it turned out that the turkey came in from the wrong direction, and the other guy got the turkey, and I know we decided to pack it in. You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have your butt froze off.
I know,
it's a daunting thing, but we managed pretty well to do pretty good. And I was able to record some stuff at that meeting where they were actually telling you how to dress the turkey. But anyway, I had a good time doing that, and then we've been out turkey hunting several times afterward, and it was a pretty good experience.
It offers a different experience every time you're out too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's very different.
And one thing I remembered about one of my experiences with you, Steve, is that as we were sitting there very still next to the tree and trying not to make any sounds, and just watching things around us, and scanning the horizon for birds, there was a deer that walked up right next to us.
Yeah.
And so he sort of was prancing around there in the woods very quietly, and I think he took a look at us and didn't actually take any notice and just walked on by.
Was it a buck?
Yeah, it was a buck. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were in complete camouflage.
Oh, okay.
And we just sat there very still, and fortunately the wind was right in our faces there, and so the deer didn't smell us.
Could pick up the scent.
And so if we were deer hunting, that might have been a good thing, but we were turkey hunting, and so but there was also another time when there was a possum that came up next to us.
Yeah.
I remembered that. And so this whole thing of hearing the cranes fly over and the birds waking up, and it starts out real quiet, but as the sun just peeks over the horizon, the birds start to make noises, and then you hear a gobble out in the distance. And so we managed to go out and follow the gobble, and Steve does his owl hoot. Now, I had the experience of being over at his house one day, and up on his shelf he has a display of all his turkey calls. And there was one there that was really interesting. It had all these little things, pipes going out in every which way, and I was trying to figure out what on earth is this? And it said on it, Bob's Owl Hooter. And so I thought I'd give it a try, and I blow in it, and I get a face full of talcum powder.
You come walking out in the dining room there, and all I can see is these little peepholes like this, kind of out there, this little white face like this. And I knew exactly what happened, because the same thing happened to me down in Indiana. The guy ends up
It's a setup.
Yeah, it's a setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What a deal.
Now, you tell a story that I really always, when you tell this story, I always laugh because it's so much fun, but it really tells you the story of this experience of entering in God's creation, and also a little bit of family time.
Yeah. I've been very blessed over the years. I've got 4 daughters, and all of them love to spend time in the woods with me. Mm-hmm. And I've got 10 grandkids, and I got 2 great-grandkids. And a lot of those grandkids are now coming to the age where they're spending time in the woods with me. And my oldest granddaughter and my second oldest granddaughter both have harvested turkey, and my grandson has harvested turkeys and deer. And so I'm really kind of hitting that level where we have a lot of blessed times out in the woods together. And I'll never forget the time, though, I had my second oldest daughter, Allison, was with me, and we went out, and it was the night before opening day, and she says, well, I'd like to go turkey hunting with you tomorrow morning. And so I said, okay, let's go out and we'll do some preseason scouting, just before the opener, and see if we can put one to bed, put one to roost, and stuff. So I get out there, and a lot of times when you, in the spring of the year, turkeys will gobble at different sounds all the time. I mean, a horn honking, or train whistle,
okay.
A cow going "Murr," like this, or whatever, and they'll gobble at darn near anything, and when they're all wound up that time of year and stuff. So anyway, but I like to use something that sounds more natural to the woods, so you don't kind of spook them or tear them up. So I could go out there with a horn and probably blow it and gobble to it, but it might kind of spook them. But it'd be PTSD turkeys for the next 2 weeks, and stuff if I did that. But so I like to use something that's fairly natural in the woods, and I like to use an owl hoot. A barred owl has an A-note call of who cooks for you, who cooks for you all, and it's just a and a turkey will gobble to that.
Oh, they will.
So anyway, we get out there, and it's it's starting to get sun's going down, and getting to the time when the turkeys fly up to roost. And when they're flying up to roost, a lot of times you can get them gobble to an owl hoot. So the bird gobbled, and he was right up on that roost, right up there. I said, okay, we know where he's at. We're coming back tomorrow morning. So he's driving home, and I get a phone call, that night from a guy that. The photographer, and he was taking pictures for the DNR and whatever, and he says, well, I'd like to get, I need to get some photos of young kids or whatever out turkey hunting. And I says, can you help me out? I says, well, it so happens, my daughter and I are going to go tomorrow morning. You're welcome to go along if you like, And he says, okay, well, I'll meet you at McDonald's at such and such a time, and we'll go from there, so.
Yeah, I
I
know.
get out there,
I know Dave Kenyon, he's.
yeah,
the
oh
guy.
yeah.
Oh, Dave King, I know him, yeah.
Yeah, good guy,
Yeah.
super guy. And anyway, I don't like to use names to protect the innocent.
Yeah,
Anyway, we get out there, and he didn't realize that we had roosted this bird the night before.
Yeah.
So I get out of the car, and I got these little nippers and stuff, and I clip off a branch, and it goes up into a Y like this, and I clip above it like this, and grab two ends of it like this here, and I was pointing, and I was going,
oh,
and he looks over at me, he says, what are you doing? I said, well, it's a turkey witch. Turkey witch? What do you mean, turkey witch? Well, it tells you where turkeys are. Yeah, right. There's a turkey right up there. Yeah, right. You know, and I says, well, sure enough is. Oh, right on cue. Bird got one and said, is there any kind of wood that you use for that? You knew it all along, you know, they use it. It was so much fun doing that. But anyway, we had, it kind of rained the night before, and it was one of the mornings that it rained, but it started clearing up. And grass was all wet, and leaves were dripping water and stuff like this as we're walking through the woods, you know. I mean, you shake a little tree and it rain on you, you know, and stuff. So we was going through there, but it was clearing off, and it was going to be an absolutely gorgeous one. And birds were starting to sing and stuff like that. The turkeys were gobbling a little bit better. And we got to this one big opening there, and this opening is out there, and I knew that, you know, if we sat there at the edge of the opening, turkeys would fly down on the other side of the opening and just sit back there and strut, because it's more natural for the hen to go to the gobbler than it's the gobbler to
Okay.
the hen. So he'd be out there strutting, out of range, and we couldn't do anything with him, you know. So I says, we have to be on the other side of this little meadow here in order to get that turkey, you know. So we crawled on our hands and knees through that wet grass and got soaked from head to toe, going through that grass and stuff. Got up there, well, I set her between my legs, you know, so I could, you know, coach her a little bit, you know. She was
is that
11
Allison?
Allison, yeah, she was 11 years old at the time. I set her between my legs so I could whisper to her and stuff, and she had the gun up on her like this, you know, and put it on her knee, and she was already settled in, you know, and so I grabbed my call, and I get out there, and I said, well, I'll do a little tree yelp, you know, and nice soft little call, birds just starting to wake up, a little soft yelp. Bird gobbled to it. I said, oh, okay, we'll settle down, wait till the birds fly down. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Well, there were 7 gobblers up on that ridge, and they were just lighting up like crazy, starting to gobble. One gobble at that end, they all gobble at the same, you know, up and down, back
Wow.
and forth. And it was just absolutely amazing, you know. And well, about that time, we hear a bird flies down. There goes another one. I said, okay, they're on the ground, you know, because otherwise, if I sat there and called, they just gobble, gobble, gobble back
Sure,
and forth,
okay.
and wait for that hen to come to them. Well, they're going to fly down, and then they're going to try to look for that hen. Well, she got out there, and this bird was flying down, and her heart was going right up against my chest there, and she was drawing figure eights with that on the gun barrel, you know, just and waiting for it. About that time, a tail fan comes up over the top and goes back down. Well, I saw that the center tail feathers were longer than the outside feathers.
Okay.
So I knew it was an immature bird, you know, but it was a legal target at that time. And that bird started coming in. She was bearing down on that. Well, I hear this. And that's the sound of a strutting gobbler, and it's usually an adult gobbler, a big one, and he's throwing the stuff, and that's
Okay.
spinning it around. And if you hear that, they are very close. And I looked, and here's this tail fan pops up, and there's a full fan, comes back down. Well, I take her shoulders and go like this, and that bird comes up over the top and had that big old beard hanging out like this. Take that one out. Boom! Down it goes in the heap.
Oh, man.
You know, and we walk up there and we pick that bird up like this here. Well, Dave Kenyon come up and he started snapping photos right there, and the sunlight was coming down through the trees and it was shining through the tail feathers there while we were sitting there
Really?
admiring that
What a
turkey.
shot, huh?
And what a shot, and it ended up on the cover of the Turkey Guide, you know,
Yep.
for 2001.
Wow.
So that was kind of a neat program, but, you know, that's the thing, and later on that day, I had her call me in a turkey, and I shot the bird, and I got a picture of her and I walking down the road with turkey over my shoulder, and
Really?
I'm looking down
And
at
can you
her.
take that picture too?
No, I actually did it
You
with,
took
with
it?
it. And she
Okay.
had her bird over her shoulder, and she's looking up at me like
Wow.
that. And I tell you what, those are some special times. You know, you can spend some special times like that in the woods, you know, with your family, and seeing God's creation, you know, come to life. It is just so wonderful being a part of that out there. Some of the stories that, I mean, there's hundreds of those stories that you have. And it's not about harvesting the turkey, you know, and although it's very good eating.
Yeah.
You know,
You-
as I
you made that pretty clear last time, yeah.
It's pretty good eating.
Yeah.
But anyway, to hear, you know, it's not about the actual harvest of the turkey. It's about the experiences that you have in the woods, and seeing God's creation come to life is what really does it for me more than anything
Yeah.
else. I've had so many experiences in the woods, you know, and having quiet time, you know, with the Lord at that time.
Yeah.
And having that quiet time is so special. There's been, you know, other times out in the woods. I remember one time out in South Dakota, and this is another funny story. Anyway, I got out there and I broke my ankle. I stepped on a cat coming down the steps. I wish, I really wish I had a more masculine way. I did it playing softball or something, but no, I stepped on a cat going down the steps, you know, broke my ankle.
I remember that, yeah.
It was a nasty time, you know, but anyway, I was having a hard time getting around, and I wanted to go out to South Dakota and turkey hunt there. And we were at this one spot, and all these turkeys they gobble up and down this river bottom. Well, we were up on top of this big butte, and there's just no way that I could get my way down
Oh, yeah.
to the bottom down
Right,
there
right,
with
right,
a broken ankle, you know. I mean, I was not on crutches at that time, but I still was kind of in the boot, you know, and
Yeah.
oh man. So anyway, I says, well, why don't you guys, you know, we see these turkeys about 10 o'clock up at the top of this butte up in this old cornfield up
Yeah.
there. They kind of milling around up there. It says, why don't you guys drop me off there? I'm just going to wait them out up there, up at the top, you know. And so they drive me up there, drop me off, you know, and I'm sitting there at the top of this butte looking around. Well, in South Dakota, there's not a whole lot of trees out there going on,
Right.
you know, and so I'm trying to find a place to set up, and I'm in a place to hide,
Yeah.
and there
As
is
you said, they have
nothing.
good eyes and good ears. So
Yeah, well, you know, they're 10 times greater than ours, you know, and they can see so much and they can hear, you know. Well, anyway, I got up there and finally I find this little ravine that kind of dipped down like this here. And I said, well, shoot, I can put this blind. I got this little pop-up, this chair that sets up and it's got this blind that pops over the top of me. I said, perfect, you know. So I'll sit here in this blind and I'm just at the level where I can see the field perfect.
Right. Yep.
So I flipped this over, you know, on me like this, and I started, you know, calling, and birds gobbling up and down the bottom down there. And I was sitting there, you know, and pretty soon, here they come, you know, and there was these turkeys up there, and they started strutting back and forth around these. There were 7 hens and 4 gobblers up in there. They were strutting back and forth, you know. Actually, there was more than that because there was 3 jakes in that bunch. You know, there's 3 jakes and these 4 gobblers and a bunch of hens.
So what's a jake?
A jake is an immature tom,
Okay.
legal target, but is, you know, you usually want to get an adult tom, you know, and stuff. Well, these 4 adult toms were over there and they were strutting like crazy, and all of a sudden, you know, they started kind of easing towards me a little bit there, and I was calling, you know, and they was kind of easing the way down that ridge. Well, this blind, it's got a big opening right here where you can shoot out this way, and I was kind of facing straight like that, and these turkeys were over here. Well, it's got this little window on the side right here that you can look through and you can kind of see, and these come down this edge, and I said, well, shoot, I I could ease my gun out that window and I could probably shoot him once I get to the spot here. So I was getting my gun around, leaning back like this, and I get around like this, and, and I flip over. This blind wraps up around me like a dog on Venus flytrap, and my legs are up in the air and go like this, you know, and I'm trying to get out of this blind, you know, and so anyway, I finally roll the thing over. I'm just making all sorts of racket there, you know, flapping and everything going on like that. Well, I finally get out, and I kind of open it up and squeeze out, and I grab my gun and slide it out like this here, and I said, well, I messed that up. Well, I looked up, and those turkeys thought there was some big fight going on over there, and they were beating feet to see what's going on right to me.
Oh, my God.
So here they are running right to me, so I lay on my belly, and so these 3 jakes come in, and I had my gun up like this here, waiting for this bird to come in. And these birds came so close, they stepped over my gun barrel. It was that close. I was completely camouflaged, stepped over my gun barrel. I mean, they were within, I could have reached out and grabbed them. But there was just those 3 jakes, you know, and stuff. I was waiting for the big birds. Well, pretty soon, the hens over there, they kind of filled around and says, I ain't buying it. You know, we're boogieing, we're getting out this way, and those
the gals know better.
And the Tom says, well, I guess I'll follow these gals over here, you know, and so they dipped over it, and they go down over the top of this butte, and they're down there on the edge, and I said, well, what I can do is I can sneak around, I just kind of hobbled along on my foot, you know, trying to get around to the other edge, and I kind of laid down and got ready to go, and so I said, I'll just give them a call and see what happens. So I called, well, a hen popped her head up, another hen popped her head up, another hen popped her head up, big old gobbler popped his head up, and I go, boom.
Wow.
Well, it was good, you know, and I said, man, I got my bird, you know, so I kind of walked over there, and all of a sudden I looked, and I see this pile of feathers, and over the butte,
Oh, no.
that bird flopped, and he went all the way to the bottom.
Oh, no.
Down there. So I had to hobble down.
Oh, you actually went down?
I followed, it took me about an hour and a half to walk down to get the bird.
Oh.
Got the bird, and I says, oh no, I gotta go back
You gotta
up.
go back up, yeah.
So I went back up, but I did get my bird, and that was a funny story there. But,
Wow.
but I've had hundreds of those stories like that when you're out in the woods, and probably one that probably touched home with me. It was not on a turkey hunt; it was on a deer hunt, this was years ago, and I went through a Navigator's 2-7 class,
Okay.
and we was learning verses in the Bible and stuff like that. And one thing that I did was I put on my bow a Bible verse that I was trying to learn.
All right.
I stuck it on the limb of my bow. So when I sit in my tree stand and have a quiet time and stuff like that, I'd be praising the Lord or whatever and stuff, and just be thinking, you know, hey, God's creation is so wonderful and stuff like that. Well, I was memorizing that verse and stuff like that. Well, I'm a great turkey. I'm a great hunter. I failed myself, you know. And stuff.
Yeah.
And so anyway, all of a sudden this deer comes walking by. And so I raised my bow up, and good shot. And I said, man, this is great. I got this deer. So I waited, you know, probably 45 minutes to an hour and stuff to get down, just to, you know, make sure everything's settled in and stuff, and got everything around. And man, I'm a great hunter, you know, and stuff like this. So I get down there and I start looking for you know, blood trail or whatever, and I'm not seeing nothing. I'm not seeing a thing. And I start doing circles and doing larger circles and just kept on looking around trying to find, you know, okay, I didn't find anything, no hair, no blood, nothing. And finally, I mean, I did this for like 2 hours and I couldn't find this deer. And
you know,
oh, I knew I hit him, you know,
Okay.
and I knew it. And I typically, when I shoot a deer, I always pray to the Lord. I said, so don't let this deer suffer, please.
Yeah.
Thank you for the blessings that you've given me, you know, don't let this deer suffer and stuff. I always say that prayer. I didn't say that prayer that day. I was sitting there, I was sitting on the stump. I looked down at my bow, and I says, Lord, I says, I have been relying on my own understanding, relying on my own ability to do this, and I can't do this, Lord. I need your help to find this deer. And I looked at my bow, and it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight.
Yep.
I says, Lord, forgive me. I says, I was not relying on you to do this. Please show me where this deer is. And at that time, a breath of wind hit me in the back of the neck. And I raised my hair right off the back of my neck. And I looked over, and there was some yellow leaves coming off a hickory tree, falling down right on that deer.
Really?
I tell you what,
No.
Wow, wow.
it was something else. I mean,
You just couldn't
Instant-
see it before?
answer of
Yeah,
prayer.
that's
Instant
amazing.
answer. And it all bled internally. I mean, he was laying there, it was a good shot, and he died right there, and stuff. But it was,
Wow.
God is great. God is
He
great
certainly
when
is.
things like that happen out in the woods, and you have that time that you can spend, a quiet time that you can spend with the Lord. And I've had a lot of great times in God's church outside. There's a lot there to this great times.
Wow.
Steve, this has been wonderful. I hope that you will continue what you do, and tell us a little bit about what your role in your organization is and how to get in touch with the National Wild Turkey Federation.
Yeah, I work for the National Wild Turkey Federation. I'm the R3 coordinator, the Hunter Recruitment, Retention, and Reactivation Coordinator. And some of the things that I do is throughout the summertime, my brother and I actually, Doug has helped with this program. We do go around through the state parks, and we introduce shooting sports to kids by having an inflatable BB gun range at the state parks. And we have kind of a relaxed atmosphere and a positive atmosphere, because a lot of times shooting doesn't look good on a lot of people, and so we try to shed a different light on the story of what shooting sports brings to it. And I love shooting, I love to go out to the shooting range and hear the shots, because every time you hear a bang go off, 11% excise tax is applied for conservation efforts.
It's not only that though, Steve, it's like culling the herds has actually made the herds healthier.
Exactly,
Turkeys are
yeah.
healthier, it seems to
You
me.
gotta be.
I read stories, this is Africa, where they don't allow any kind of hunting of elephants, and the elephant population is decimated, but where they allow limited hunting of them, the elephant herd is very healthy. And I know here in Michigan, the deer is quite, mad disease, or what do they call that?
CWD.
Yeah,
chronic
despite
wasting
that,
disease.
it's still the wasted disease. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about that this year, maybe because of the COVID thing. But I mean, but the
yeah.
point of it is that it's been very the deer and the turkey. Obviously, we talked about the
And
success
they've
of that.
done a great job of managing those areas there. Right where we're at right now
Right.
was one of the core areas for CWD years ago, and it now is
Doing real well.
doing well right now.
Right.
They haven't had any cases in Ingham County in 2 years. So.
Well,
that's been pretty
Steve, thank you for being on our show. We'll see you next time on Revolution Against Evolution.